Chrono Odyssey is an MMO that I have been covering since its original announcement all the way back in December 2020. Nobody else had covered it at the time, and the people that watched my video wrote it off as just another crappy Asian MMO. Boy, has the perception of the game changed since then. As of May 12, 2023, not only has every MMO creator covered the game or expressed some type of interest in it, but the trailer uploaded to the PlayStation YouTube channel is sitting at almost 3 million views since its reveal earlier this month. Saying the game is eagerly anticipated would be doing it a bit of a disservice. But what is Chrono Odyssey, and should we be excited? Is it really just another crappy Asian MMO, or is there more to it than we originally expected? That's what we're here today to discuss. I'm going to break down everything we know about the game, the business model, the beta tests, races and classes, release date. Before we discuss Chrono Odyssey in detail, however, allow me to thank our patrons over on Patreon. You guys are part of the reason that I can continue to push out videos like these, and I greatly appreciate you all. Also, if you have a moment, consider following me over on Twitch. I stream there every weekend. Chrono Odyssey is an upcoming third-person, open-world action MMO announced back in December 2020, developed by NPixel, the same studio behind the popular Grand Saga anime MMORPG, not to be confused with the blockchain MMO Grand Saga Unlimited by Metapixel. The game is set in the world of Satera, a land filled with unexplored regions. Equipped with control over space and time, players will ally with a variety of different factions as you journey across the land in an attempt to save it from destruction against the Void, a war that has been going on since the beginning of time that has been rapidly escalating to a point where you and I are necessary to save it. Yeah, so the world's probably screwed. Examples of factions available are the Guardians, the Void, the Broken, the Outcasts, and the World Movers. Each of these factions have their own backstories, their own purpose. When Chrono Odyssey was originally conceived, it was done so with free-to-play in mind. However, that was back in 2020, and the game has undergone a number of significant changes since its conception. As a PC-exclusive MMO, I would have said it was all but a guarantee that we'd see it launch free for players, but given their confirmation of a simultaneous console release, that guarantee is no longer, well, a guarantee. Rather, it's still the more likely outcome, and given NPixel's singular other game, Grand Saga, is fully free to play, it makes sense. NPixel have expressed in the past that they wanted to keep their games accessible for the larger market, and the investments that they've obtained to develop these games are proof that the game's sales are unnecessary for them. This could also be due to the fact that Grand Saga is a gacha MMO and made $1 billion roughly in its first year of release, and Chrono Odyssey might feature a similar style of monetization. Earlier this month, a full gameplay trailer showcasing everything from world exploration to characters to combat was released, which also confirmed exactly which platforms the game was releasing onto. Originally, NPixel stated that Chrono Odyssey was going to be a PC MMO with mobile crossplay functionality. However, after a lengthy development process, it seems as though they've changed direction, instead opting to release onto PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series. There will be absolutely no mobile crossplay functionality implemented, with no mobile ports, no mobile features. This is a breath of fresh air, as we all know the kind of game we'd expect if it were targeting the mobile audience in conjunction with PC. Chrono Odyssey features a full action combat system. As we saw in the trailer, the game utilizes dodges, parries, counters, and blocks. When blocking, you can mitigate damage for a period of time. After taking a certain amount of damage, your block is broken and you're staggered. This means that players will be presented with a number of ways to combat encounters. You can move with a tank and have them hold aggro while you DPS from a safe distance. You can go at it solo and utilize dodging and parrying to minimize damage and stay alive. The combat looks incredibly fast and will likely require pretty decent reflexes if you want to be competitive. If there's a functional PvP system in place, I'd imagine it would be much more skill-oriented as opposed to CC-oriented, given the use of real-time combat mechanics. The studio did confirm that there is a functional class system in place, but it's deeper than what we're typically used to. At the time of release, there will be a grand total of 6 classes: the Swordsman, the Ranger, the Sorcerer, the Paladin, the Berserker, and the Assassin. Swordsman, Ranger, Sorcerer, Berserker, and Assassin all sound like full DPS, where the Paladin is likely the human punching bag we saw in the trailer. This is interesting though, as unless the Ranger can apply a type of support, the Sorcerer can heal, or the Paladin is entirely self-sufficient, I can't imagine the game being easy without a dedicated healer. Judging from what we know thus far, there isn't really a holy trinity of sorts, but that's the direction the MMO genre is moving. Additionally, each class is going to be able to utilize a number of unique weapons that drastically change the type of class it is, allowing players to swap weapons in real time to change not only your utility to the team, but also your role, which leads me to believe that there will be a support type weapon for one of the classes that allows the use of reactive real-time healing between DPS, which could honestly be a very, very cool playstyle. The devs confirmed via their website that Chrono Odyssey is a large open-world MMO. They didn't, however, confirm whether the game will be a seamless open-world game like Black Desert Online, or a segregated open-world game like Final Fantasy XIV or Guild Wars 2. Regardless, one thing is certain, it is not an instanced MMO, nor is it a hub MMO. According to a press release made on the PlayStation website, not only will players be able to choose between 6 distinct classes with a variety of different weapons to select from, but you'll also have a number of character customization options. These include gender and appearance, allowing you to express your unique personality and create a personalized combat style that is truly your own. Now, this is still pretty vague, but given this is also a Korean MMO, it's a safe bet to assume not only is it going to be a gorgeous game, but the character customization is going to be enviable. If there's one thing Korean games do well, it's making hyper-sexualized female characters that guys would rather pay more attention to than getting their pickle tickled IRL. At the time of recording, there only seems to be humans available as a playable race, but given this is a fantasy game at its core, there is definite potential for additional races like elves in the future. Grand Saga, Npixel's previously released MMORPG, is a gacha game, which means more powerful characters, weapons are locked behind essentially a paywall, meaning paying players will have access to more powerful heroes than free players. It is unconfirmed if any of the weapons available in Chrono Odyssey will be locked behind gacha, but it is a safe bet to assume if it is in fact a free-to-play title, there will be a degree of pay-to-win present. Whether it ultimately affects you or not is another question altogether. However, since I would really only see it having a substantial effect on PvP, which might not exist, or be entirely toggleable. Chrono Odyssey is a Korean MMO, not a Chinese MMO, which means that it's much less likely for censorship to be an issue. However, at the same time, if Npixel choose to have another publisher publish the game globally outside of Korea, then it is entirely plausible the game could suffer from censorship. I believe Grand Saga hasn't released globally yet and also hasn't suffered any type of censorship yet, but Npixel don't plan on publishing it outside of Korea themselves, as far as I'm aware, which means that they are likely going to look for a global publisher, of which there aren't really very many options. Probably Amazon, after seeing how much anticipation has been built for this game already. A large open world has been promised with a plethora of multiplayer options. According to the press release posted onto the PlayStation website, the studio's vision for Chrono Odyssey is to continue the legacy of beloved MMORPGs that have stood the test of time, as well as the real-time MMO content enjoyed by hundreds of players, to provide a dynamic social experience unlike any other. Prepare to engage in epic battles alongside hundreds of other players where strategy, skill, and teamwork determines the outcome. Whether you're facing off against colossal beasts or competing for dominance against other factions, you'll need to bring your all and find trusted allies to support you in your quest for victory. Evidently, pretty massive. The devs have confirmed that there will be massive world bosses to combat out in various zones, but they haven't touched on the kinds of instance content, dungeons or raids, which means we're also uncertain of how one goes about curing themselves. Which, since there is a multi-weapon system present, I wonder if they're going to have gear dropped from world bosses, or if you'll be required to craft them like you will be in Blue Protocol, or if they'll just be locked behind real-life purchases. Chrono Odyssey has a global release planned. Companies like to throw the term global around quite a bit. Amazon did it with Lost Ark and New World, yet IP blocked a number of regions. So while global is confirmed, it's very plausible that it ends up being a little more difficult to access than one might hope for certain regions like Southeast Asia or certain parts of Europe. As noted earlier, Chrono Odyssey was originally releasing onto PC and mobile, completely cross-platform. However, as of 2023, Chrono Odyssey has discarded any and all mobile functionality in favor of complete console cross-platform play, releasing onto PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. This will make for an ultimately much higher quality MMO in my opinion. It is currently unconfirmed when Chrono Odyssey plans on rolling out their first closed beta tests, but many players are speculating that they will begin at some point in early 2024. Given how far through development Chrono Odyssey currently is, I wouldn't say that that's entirely out of the question. Much like the global beta, a full global release date is unconfirmed. Given the beta test is likely going to take place at some point in 2024, it's unlikely we'll see a release date at any point in the first half of 2024. Rather, Chrono Odyssey is probably going to be at least a second half 2024 release at the earliest, maybe even a 2025 release depending on who they decide will be in charge of global localization. And that's everything we currently know about Chrono Odyssey. This is a gorgeous upcoming MMORPG with a lot of potential, but there have been many an MMO with equal potential that have crashed and burned, and just as many underdogs like Albion Online and even Final Fantasy XIV that have done the exact opposite and found lasting success. Now, if Chrono Odyssey isn't of any interest to you, absolutely no problem. I got you covered up with 2 videos on screen right now, one featuring a list of every MMO releasing this month and the other featuring an MMO releasing in just a couple months from now.